You're listening to the Girl Dad Show.
Welcome to Season 3 of The Girl Dad Show, where we explore the intersection of parenthood and entrepreneurial spirit. Join me and some incredible guests as we share tips and tricks for finding work-life balance and making a positive impact not only on the world, but also our families. Let's create a fulfilling life together. It's The Girl Dad Show, Season 3. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Girl Dad Show. Today is a Girl Dad Talk, where I talk to you in between my interviews of amazing professional parents and their professional journey, and talk to you a little bit about my professional parenting journey, building career and family as I go. So today I am talking to you from sunny Las Vegas, and I did a random personal trip with the guys, some of my closest friends that I started a company with a decade ago. We, became really, really close starting this company and being co-founders together. And it was one of my co-founders' birthdays. And we were just talking about, we should go to Vegas or something. We kind of said it as a joke, but his husband actually said, that's actually a pretty good idea. And then, my wife thought it was a good idea. And then we called the third co-founder from the company, and he responded almost immediately saying yes. And so this kind of like flippant joke turned into this real thing. And so we made a very quick weekend trip to Las Vegas for his birthday. So I'm here right now, Sunday morning, and ready to go back home and see my kids because it's been a very jam-packed short weekend. And it is incredibly hot here. So it's in Texas, it's insanely hot. It's like 105 and feels like death. But in Las Vegas, it's like 115, 118. And it's unbelievable. It feels horrible. And for some reason or another, we ended up walking outside for one of the activities. And I have no idea why we did that instead of just Ubering, but it was quite the experience, and it was pretty painful. But long story short, this one is from Las Vegas for that reason. But I do want to give you a quick update on where I'm at on the business front and kind of building my professional career, give you an update on where I'm at as a dad and as a parent, and then talk to you about some of the things that I've learned about being a professional parent and trying to build a very fulfilling life. So let's jump into it. So on the business side, the podcast is going really well. As I talk to you, it's actually National Parents Day today, although you'll see this probably in, I don't know, I think I'm like 2 months out now. So probably in 2 months you'll hear this. But either ways, happy National Parents Day to all the parents out there. And we are doing a social media campaign to ask all of our former guests to post their episode for National Parents Day. And so far, so good. We've already had one person participate, and I'm hoping to see a lot more people share their episode and, elevate these conversations that we're having. And one of the really fun things that I've been doing over the last few weeks have been joining podcasts of other parent podcasters. And that's been really interesting because at first I had a hard time finding podcasters that were in the space. And, you would think that Google would do a really good job of this and it'd be very easy to find. But I found a bunch, and a lot of the ones that I found were 7 or 8 episodes in, and then they stopped. Most of them had less than one season, let's just say it that way. And most of them were not going anymore. And so it's really interesting to know that, like, even as powerful as Google is, it's not catching everything. So, doing a really deep scrub and learning how to research is going to be something that you're going to want to consider as you think about new businesses, because knowing that these content creators and other dads are out there has been, one, really, really fun for me to meet. But two, it may have even changed me wanting to even start the show. So not to say that I regret it anyways, but I do think that if I did know that there were this many, I would have considered just helping them or supporting their show versus creating a show. So it's kind of funny to think about. But needless to say, I do think it's a great conversation to have. I was just recently on another show called The Modern Dad, and we were talking a lot about, being dad content creators and the evolution of what fatherhood and parenthood means, in this generation versus the last generation. And it just really made me realize that so much is changing in the world that we need to be changing with it, both as professionals, but also as parents. It's my opinion that we can't keep parenting our kids the same way that our parents did, because it's not the same world. And I'm not saying that like we can't have the same core values and we can't, take from the past and bring to the future, but it would be very unfair of us to not try to evolve and grow with the new times and try to be a better version of our parents to our kids. And so I think that there is something to having these conversations, because if you had talked to dads, even 30 years ago and said, hey, who do you talk to about being a good dad? I'm not really sure that would have been a normal conversation. Where now you have people like me and the podcast like The Modern Dad, having dads talk about, what it's like to be a dad, and just having that conversation with other dads and opening up that dialogue. And, something that was important to me is much more prevalent than I realized. And so that's been a really fun experience over the last couple of weeks, being on all these other dad podcaster shows, talking about parenthood and what that means in this day and age, and just opening up those conversations and meeting other dads that are exploring this with me. So that's been super fun, and I really do enjoy it quite a bit. So I'm hoping the same thing, though, that this podcast grows this season. So if you are listening to this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please give it a 5-star rating on whatever you're listening to. I think you can even do it right now while you're listening to this. So really appreciate your support. It helps so much. So thank you for doing that. And then the other thing I was really working on the business front was cleaning up some of the issues that I've been having with some of my businesses. And for the most part, I have a really good battle plan for the two that were really causing me the most headache. And one of that was, the real estate investing side. I have had some really interesting calculations, and I still think real estate is really great. And I think it's a really great way to build financial assets that grow with you. It just takes a lot of time. And at this point in my life, especially with Texas's tax rates, it doesn't seem like it makes the most sense. It does make sense long term when I do the math, but the amount that I would make from it, best case scenario, multiplied backward or divided out backwards, doesn't actually equal how much more I can make with that money in service businesses at this point. So I'm in the process of figuring that out, and then either rebuying real estate assets in the lower property tax area, or deploying that into more service businesses so that I can have more cash flow coming in to then invest in real estate again down the line, but in lower property tax states and cities. So that's kind of the plan there. And then as it relates to Blue Ocean and FYA and Owners Club, we've done a lot of re-strategizing and figuring out how we want to move forward from this year moving forward. And it's been a really big labor of love. It's taken a lot of energy and time and really hard conversations to really figure out all the things that have changed in the world and the external factors that are impacting the businesses, and being really realistic about what we set out to do versus what's happening right now, why it happened, what we think is going to happen, how we can maximize what we have, changing, expectations of success and redefining what success looks like. And so it's been a really hard month or two, but we are now done. And so we're feeling really good about the plans that we've set and resetting the expectations and how to make this successful, given a lot of these external factors that we're now being dealt with as it relates to the economy, the job conversion rates, like our sales conversion rates, and just all of these things. So it's still a really great plan. They're still really great businesses, but it's just not going to be the same. We're not going to grow the same way. And we're just learning a ton. And so, but that's been really, really relieving for me mentally, because at least directionally, I feel very good about the new strategy. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's always good to take a look at what you're building and what you're doing and be very okay resetting the goals. If what you're doing isn't working for 4 months or 3 months or even 6 months, like in our case, like it's okay. Like you don't have to stick to your annual goals. You can just say, hey, we didn't expect the economy to keep hitting so hard, or we didn't expect, the turnover to increase because the ability to hire, hourly workers increased, tenfold, or like just there's always these new things that come up. And I think that if you stay too blindsided to your business goals, it's really detrimental at a certain point. And just like they always say, there's a saying, you got to learn to cut your losses. It's like a really good business saying, because at the end of the day, like, you just have to be okay with pivoting and adapting and surviving and then thriving. And that's really what I'm doing right now, is basically trying to figure out how to adjust these things with the new data that I have, and being okay with the fact that they're not the same goals and objectives as I had when I started the year. And I'm completely okay with that, because I'm actually just as happy with the new goals. And if anything, at the end of the numbers, we're only delaying what I thought we were going to do by 4 or 5 months. And so in the bigger scheme of things, it's a more enjoyable journey, and it'll be a more enjoyable ride, because we're going to take a little longer to do it. And we're going to work on creating more value. And 4 or 5 months to get the same return on investment is not a big deal in my mind. So it's very justifiable, and it's actually kind of welcome.
This episode of The Girl Dad Show is brought to you by Owners Club. As a business owner myself, I know firsthand how challenging the journey can be. Whether it's having someone that I can ask a very tactical question to, or just being able to share my big successes without guilt. Building a business is a lonely journey, and it does not have to be. After building and coaching dozens of businesses to success, there is one insight that is so obvious and simple, yet hard to execute. And that is network equals net worth. And so if you're a growth-minded, supportive, smart, and hardworking business owner looking for a community of like-minded entrepreneurs to build with, look no further than the Owners Club. You will make lifelong friends and build your business that works for you. You can learn more online at owners.club.
So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I'm really excited to talk to you more about this, especially if you're inside of Owners Club, or if you're a business owner, or you are a founder, about how to know when you need to reset. So I typically check in on my strategies every 6 months, just so it's like scheduled and programmed. And so we were able to catch it, at the June, July mark because of that. But sometimes the business in the world happens to you. So you just have to be okay with that and adjust it as it comes to you. But if you're unsure of when to do it, my recommendation is just to schedule it out. So I have a mid-year assessment. I have an annual strategic plan, mid-year assessment, and re-strategy. And then I also do check-ins once a month. And then I also have a weekly dashboard called the Owner's Manual Dashboard. So there's a lot of like systems in place to measure these things. But even with these systems, you just want to make sure that you're being very open-minded to the fact that things can change, and it's okay to change with it. So that's kind of the thesis there that I have, and hopefully that helps a lot of the business owners listening to this. That being said, that leads me to my personal updates and goals, which is that I am spending some time away from my family right now on a personal trip, which has been unbelievably fun and probably more needed than I realized. I rarely do things like this. I don't even think I went on a bachelor party. I don't know. I just don't really I don't know. Whenever I think about traveling or doing stuff, I want to be with my kids, and I don't know. So it's like really interesting to be here, for fun, not for work, and just being able to not work and hang out. And I think it's not necessarily something I want to do more of, but it is very enjoyable for very unique reasons. And so I definitely think that it should be something that I consider and think about and try to figure out how to do it. I talked to the guys last night over dinner, and we're talking about possibly doing this every year, because it is really fun, and we're having a lot of fun and a lot of laughter and just doing non-work fun things, right? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But it does give me a lot of perspective. And what's really the most interesting thing that I absolutely love is that it definitely creates this sense of absence, and absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I think when I travel for work, because I travel for work quite a bit, it's not the same, because I'm busy, I'm working, I feel like, I guess in my mind or in my heart, I feel like I'm still providing for my family. And so I don't feel like it. But in this trip, I do feel like I miss my family, because I'm constantly thinking about the fun things that I'm doing and wishing Lily was there to do that thing, or walking by this activity. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish Grace was here so she could love on, be so happy if she did that activity. And I just keep thinking about how much fun they would have. And then it's silly, because why would I bring them here? I should bring them somewhere else. But Las Vegas is making me miss them. And so I think that's really exciting. And so I'm pretty excited to see them tonight. And hopefully they'll still be up so I can say hi and good night and all those good things. But Absence does make the heart grow fonder, and self-care is also very important. And it's a great time to kind of recharge and reset your brain and your heart and your emotional and mental capacity as a parent and as a builder of your career. Having kids is so demanding. It is hard on you. It's hard on your health. Physically, I'm like so out of shape because I'm just so busy and tired, and kids are tiring and they take up so much time. It's hard on your relationship with your spouse because there's so much like focus on the kids versus you and the family. And it's a very hard chapter, I think, for parents that have young kids. And I think that you just have to be very cognizant of the fact that like there is a lot less time right now between all the things that you want to do because these kids, just added to, these boulders in your jar of life, right? And so making sure you're very cognizant of that and not beating yourself up too much, but trying to find those times to go on a guy's trip or go on a date night and spend it with your spouse. And also take the time to take your kids one-on-one and do those things as well too, right? Like being very, very intentional about including all of those things that, just kind of fall to the wayside because life gets so busy. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just being more thoughtful and intentional. And I'm really excited about delaying some of these business growth trajectories because the interesting thing about doing that is that it does allow for me to hopefully slow down a little bit. Because, the big test for me was how can I keep growing these businesses, and then when does it break? And that was kind of the big test, right? It's like just keep adding until it broke. And I think I broke it. So it was good. The test accomplished. And so now I'm in the process of fixing it and, removing some of them and getting down to the core that I can manage more easily. And it'll be interesting to see what I do with that extra time and that extra mind share that I have, because my goal is to like slowly start to save to buy an RV or a trailer, I should say, and then start caravanning with my family with said trailer and trying to do more outdoorsy stuff. Just go to national parks and take long road trips, during the summer break, and just spend more quality time with my girls and do it in the outdoors. And I think this would be a really great way to do that, especially when they're young like this and they think it's fun and they're excited to spend the time and explore like this. And I hope they like that when they're older as well too. But I know for a fact they would love it right now. And it's just silly for me to not do those things when I think about like all the things that I love about our family, like the big crucial memories, all the critical memories and all the core memories, I should say, that I have that were like amazing when I knew my family was having fun. I knew my girls were having fun and I was having fun. Like 90% of them was when we were on trips, experiencing new things together. And not to say that, swimming in our backyard and just hanging out and watching movies or exploring the local sceneries aren't fun, but I will say like those activations of like emotions and those moments where I'm like, we're all just like in full joy and enjoying each other's company has always been around experiencing new things together. And it's like funny to think about that while I'm on this trip, because if that's the case, why don't I just do more of that? And it's so silly. It's like so obvious and so silly. Just like do the retrospective like I do on my businesses, but do it on my personal life, right? Like think back to the things that I love and just do the mid-year assessment on my annual plan and just adjust the needs of the family and the strategy of, building a really great family, just like you do in a business. And I've been thinking a lot about that this trip, just, about like spending more time with the girls. So hopefully I can do it. My wife doesn't think I can do it. She thinks I'm going to get bored after a month or two and start another business or two. She's probably right. I mean, I love working, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So anyways, that's my big update here today, and my update on work and my update on my family life and just some of the epiphanies that I've had as a working parent. The big thing I want you to take away from this episode is that I think it's super important to really look at your life both professionally and personally, and try to create these like plans and goals for yourself. And it doesn't have to be goals per se, but just be realistic with what you have and what you want, and be okay adjusting those plans and doing what is good for you and your family in that moment and in the changing tides of life. And then the second thing is, don't forget about self-care and finding those times to be intentional about taking care of yourself. It's really important. And I think that if nothing else, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of The Girl Dad Show. I hope this episode was enjoyable for you. Please like and comment and share the show. It helps more than you realize, and I'd be so, so grateful. I hope this helps you on your journey, and I look forward to building a life that's fulfilling in every way with y'all. We'll talk soon, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Girl Dad Show. Please take a moment to follow us on social media. You can find us at The Girl Dad Show on all major platforms. We look forward to staying in touch and keeping you up to date with all the new guests that are coming out.